evening, comrades. Good evening, humble dwellers
Live
of the crater. I'm Double LMC, that's Andy PG. Good evening, everyone. How's everyone doing? Live from the digital gulag. Welcome, everybody.
Rise above, y'all.
What is it? What time is it, Andy? You know what goddamn time it is.
It's Rise Above.
It's Rise Above time. It's Friday night, bitches. But I'm going to tell you all about it, don't worry. Tonight is a little bit of a different show. It's that show that everybody loves to hate, Andy PG.
I say we've got some haters out
The
there.
most hated show on YouTube, the most hated show on Facebook. You know what time it is, it's Rise Above. I feel like to tell the story properly, we need to... I'm not saying that I couldn't bust the mic right now. The thing is, I could bust the mic with two hands tied behind my back. What a show we've got in store tonight. Is the last stream of 2020. This is the Soviet Union, comrades. This is where it all started. I have had an absolute bumper harvest of memes, guys. This is Big Up Word Nerds. Welcome to the stream.
Oh my God, look at that.
What's been going on this week, Andy PG?
Mate, well, going at it.
We've been going at it. We've been bombarding people with amazing information from a whole flurry of really, really interesting guests. Chris, how you doing, bro?
I'm all right, guys. How are you today?
Look at Word Nerd.
He's got full COVID protective.
He's got his toilet roll. He's got a Big Up Virus Man.
Big Up Virus Man 2020. We've got to give credit to the original memologist of the Soviet Union.
So how are things over there in across the pond? I think you guys have it just about as bad as us, maybe worse.
We just start as we mean to go on with a powerful meme that encapsulates the whole zeitgeist of the moment. Once again, our special guest this week, Tayshawn from GFC TV. Tell us a little bit about what you've been doing, bro.
Yeah, man, I've just been frustrated with the reporting by the mainstream media.
Germany had the right to view their records that was held by the Stasi, and there were very few people who didn't have one.
Do they just want to inject you with their, what is it, chimpanzee?
AD5 adenovirus.
85 adenovirus.
Recumbent.
They want
Genetically
that.
modified AD5 chimpanzee adenovirus. Because I don't want to say one thing to off COVID. Why couldn't I be Lord Schwab? Why'd you have to do me like that?
Tank,
Yeah, Rise Above is a
just
think
think
tank,
tank.
sure.
Yeah,
this
it's
is
just
a
not
think tank.
using it for nefarious
We're
reasons.
also an NGO as well. Do you know
Yes,
that?
we are.
Rise
Yes,
Above
we
is a
are an
non-government
NGO.
organisation. Yeah. This is God Vadge's real name. Me and God Vadge, right? We're on first
nice.
name terms. Me and the Vadge, yeah. And Wim, if you're watching, like Wim Hof, double bad man. When we say God Vadge, you know that is a term of endearment and the highest salute
We
to
love it.
the vulva of the universe when it comes to occulted knowledge.
When it comes to any form of truth or knowledge, there's always at least two types.
Mr. Inner Guardians, he was getting right down to the badge last week.
I was into it,
He
wasn't
was
he?
into it because
Yeah.
we were so lucky to have Inner Guardians for the whole show last week, like the whole
2 weeks. 2 weeks in a
two
row.
whole weeks. Yeah, but last week he stayed in for like 6 hours.
For the full
the full badge. He went for
duration.
the full vajazzle.
So one would be what is commonly known. So that would be given to us either through education or the media. And then one which the mystery schools or esoteric schools will understand or understand.
So what do you think of this God Badge guy? He's like, he said, I think he's very good. He really gets the gist of it.
Well, there's a word called the gist. Now, the gist is a very important word for the syncretist or the polymath.
Mate, I'm just admiring your ammunition box there in the bottom right hand corner. That is a fat ammo box. We got in there a claymore?
It's classified.
I bet it is. 1 2 1 2. Welcome to Rise Above. Oh my god, what's going on? Why have we got a fucking echo? One two 1 2.
There we go.
Welcome everyone to Rise Above Black Market Cinema.
Yeah, nice.
Fair enough, you like that one? So, I'm here on a Tuesday evening with my left-hand man, Mr. Andy PG.
Salutations.
Salutations, everyone. Let's just turn that on so they can see us a little bit better. So, big shout out to everyone tuned in. This is not a normal Friday night Rise Above.
This isn't
live.
raw.
This isn't
raw. This is a raw derivative.
This is actually Black Market Cinema. So, the idea of Black Market Cinema, I mean,
Black Market Cinema.
Cinema or Black Rocket
Nice.
Cinema,
Nice.
however you want to do it. I guess the reason we're doing this is because, as anyone knows that watches the show for a while, we have quite a lot of material that has now been deleted or just made contraband from, especially YouTube.
Al Gore's been slapping his censoring all over our shit.
Yeah, absolutely. Auntie Koviet says, liking the Tesco lighting. Hello, Auntie Koviet. Yeah, we thought we'd go something a little bit more rustic.
It's black market. It's
for
contraband.
Black Market Cinema. So, yeah, we've got a lot of material that has been deleted.
This is like a digital speakeasy.
It is, yeah. It is. We've had profiles that have been deleted. And a lot of people have said, where can we see this material that is now no longer available in the normosphere? And
we couldn't put it on normal channels because we'd get
get a strike. So that's why we've created the channel Black Market Cinema. We fully expect to get a strike for what we're going to show tonight.
Immediately.
Yeah,
almost immediately.
It might even happen during the broadcast. We have no backup for that because it takes a little while to set up a live streaming channel. So if we go dark and it doesn't nothing comes back on, you'll know why. So we're going to be rerunning old material that is not available, that is banned, that is deleted. Now, for our first episode tonight, Andy PG, right? We're not actually going to go all the way back to the very start of the story.
No.
We could go right back to the start and the first video I made, even the pre-log video.
We'll get to that.
We will get to that.
I feel that what we're doing here, showing the Serco speech, that is the single most important piece of research that RA as a collective has put out.
Yeah, well, it was certainly the most impactful.
That gained so much traction back in 2020.
Yeah. So, yeah, tonight, episode 1 of Black Market Cinema is going to be, it's the speech that changed everything. It is the Serco speech. I'll just get this up. So we've got a little graphic to work with. So, I mean, let's set the scene, shall we, PG? So, it's 2020.
This was still at the point when, the police were breaking up all the protests from all the BLM shit that was going on.
This was actually in the first week of October of 2020. So, March 2020, the Soviet Union kicked in. I think by Easter, I had already publicly come out and said, this is a lie. And I was starting to build on it because I've told this story before. When this happened, I just started to go a little bit mainstream with my MC work. I'd been on TV. And I'd stopped being quite so militant with warning about the coming apocalypse. Maybe I'd sort of lost a little bit of steam. But then 2016 came around and I started to pick up again, commenting on Clown World. 2019, 2018, I was warning of the coming reset. So we're now in 2020. We've got out of the first lockdown. Most normies still think that...
The government's out to save them.
Most people are still completely in with the Soviet narrative, right?
Yeah.
I have now, at this point, started to make videos. I've decided that enough is enough. My MCing career was dashed away from me. You know the story, when the Soviet Union gives you lemons. I decided that I was going to put my skills that I'd learned over the years of public speaking, of microphone control, of commanding an audience, of researching, my crazy super geek mind, whatever's wrong with me that allows me to spend so much time looking at weird things. For years. I said, Andy PG, Obviously, you weren't called Andy PG,
No,
but then
no,
you were just called
no.
Andy
Yeah,
or Industry Roller.
I was. DJ industry roller. Yeah.
I decided to put
No DJ, just industry
roller. I decided to put everything into one, and I decided to start telling the truth on camera. I had never done anything like this.
You didn't even have a camera.
Hey, no, I was at this point. I was already making videos on my phone, but they were funny videos and they were vlog videos of me emceeing, going around places, going around the world, festivals. It was called FAF TV. We had very little traction. People thought it was funny. It was rubbish, to be honest. I started making a series of videos called COVID 1984. I made the first one about the fake deaths. By second or third one, I was on the PCR test. By number 4, I was on the Rockefeller Foundation. And then now we're up to like October. So the first lockdown has actually been lifted.
The peasantry's got their life back.
The peasantry has got their life back a little bit. The normosphere has been restored. But
in the UK anyway.
But then I started to see the signs that I had taught myself to see throughout early 2020. I started to see them appearing again. And I was like, right. Because I'll be honest with you, PG, right? When this first happened, I hadn't really put all of the pieces together. I was like, this is the lie. It's the Soviet Union. It's the same old fucking bullshit story. It's going to be like swine flu or bird flu, but they're going to jack it up a bit so they can inject a few million peasants.
Yeah.
I thought it was $1 billion move, a couple of $1 billion, euthanize a few hundred million peasants, and I thought,
swap some money into some lines in people's pockets.
I was still thinking with Spitter that we were going to be performing at Sevens in August.
Yeah,
right. So early October comes, and there was a fateful morning, right, where I saw something, and it literally activated me. It's been a long. Now, you're going to see that in the video, because what we're going to play first before the speech is actually the video that I made. It was episode 5 of COVID-19.
Yeah.
And this video I made after having this epiphany, which you'll learn about in a minute. And I stayed up for like 3 days.
I came round here. You looked fucking awful.
At that point, we only had 2 screens. Okay. I didn't have so many controls.
We had an old desk as well.
We had an old desk. Yeah. And I had not been to sleep for the whole weekend. I had like 400 tabs open. I had my tablet over here. I had been going
like mission control.
Deep. Yeah. Now, what made me have this epiphany? Okay, many people know that I spent a lot of time in Southeast Asia over the last 10 years, or for the 10 years before the Soviet Union. I spent like a month there a year. And anyone that knows me, I don't do normal tourist things. I'm obviously going to get balls deep in what's going down locally. I like to learn about the geopolitics. I want to see the gritty side of everywhere. So I'd been learning about the Communist Party in China, and I'd actually been seeing firsthand what they've been doing in Laos. My best friend in Laos was renting one of his houses to the Chinese Communist Party while they were building the super speed railway. I've told you about this story. Yeah. So I'd met people that had told me stories that had backed up the stuff that I'd read on the internet about the Uyghur concentration camps. I remember one night, and I've never told anyone this before, I was on the mic in Vang Vieng in Laos, and there were loads of Korean people there. Now, me being a stupid Frang, I assumed they were all South Korean, and 99.9% of them were. So I was going for the cheap shots, like, the crowd pleasers, like, Kim Jong-un, suck my dick. And it got a few raised eyebrows, but then they fucking loved it, the South Koreans. However, my mate told me, and he was a proper Asian secret agent, he's like, that there are North Korean delegates in town this weekend. I was like, what? I was like, how do you know that? He said, I saw their names on the guest list of the hotel that I work at. And he's like, how would you know there's not a North Korean delegate in that crowd? And I was like, I wouldn't know.
You're telling King Jong-un.
I was shouting on the mic, King Jong-un, suck my dick. So listen, all I'm trying to say is I had got a bit of an insight into, and by the way, Laos is still a fully communist country that is under the thumb of the Chinese Communist Party. It's basically owned by China. So I'd learned about the illegal tiger farms in Laos, the huge drug factories that are supposed to be special economic zones. I'll be learning all about that. And then I spoke to some Uyghur Muslims, Chinese Uyghur Muslims, right?
Who are highly persecuted, for those who don't know.
I even met people that were Falun Gong that now lived in America. I met all of these people. I hardly even spoke to Westerners when I was in Asia for at least a couple of years. I really wanted to go balls deep, so I've been learning about all this stuff. Now, when I'd seen what was coming here and what had already happened in the first season of the Soviet Union, I thought, oh, right, they tried it. They got into, the injections coming. They'll get a few people.
Because I remember you but you were talking a lot about like when you chatted to the Uyghur Muslims and all that, and that you were talking about you knew a lot about at this point about the Chinese communist credit system.
Yeah, and I knew exactly
score.
the infrastructure that they were using to edge people into the re-education camps. Yeah, so I knew that they had,
which is just another name for concentration camps.
Yeah. Now, when I had put this all together, and also I saw that they were bringing back the full national lockdown on October 31st, and I predicted it at the start of October, something inside me clicked. And I went balls deep on Serco. Now, I'd heard the name Serco from, funnily enough, a video from Nigel Farage, right? Say what you want about Nigel Farage. He was making a video about these centres run by Serco that were full of young men from sub-Saharan Africa, from Afghanistan, and they'd come over here on boats, which were also run by guess who? Serco. The actual skiff boats that were picking up the refugees from the Channel were also run by Serco, going into these hotels run by Serco. So I had this name Serco in my head. And when this one morning, when I looked at all the newspapers, because I've done media studies, I've studied the commercial normie side of semantics and symbology and how it's used in advertising and the media. And I went to every newspaper that morning, and every newspaper had exactly the same thing on the front cover. It was a picture of the track and trace app, and it had a different color behind it.
Yeah.
So when you
traffic lights.
Yeah. So when you go to the like a petrol garage or a supermarket, and they've got that plastic box with 3x3 or 4x4, and it's got all the different newspapers in it. Well, on that morning, when you put the front page of every different newspaper, broadsheet and tabloid and local newspaper, it looked like a colour matrix. It literally looked like a matrix program. I walked up to this petrol station, and it was like something smacked me in the face. I was like, oh, fuck, the Soviet Union is going to be the Chinese credit score. And that's when I fucking knew. And I literally was activated from that moment on. Like, I think this is probably mostly where the general name came from, because you saw how militant I was.
Yeah.
I was like,
this is unhealthy at this point.
It was well unhealthy. I wasn't even washing properly. My person, you can see some of the early videos. I've got this like long unkept beard. I hadn't even gone to the barbers in like a month.
Your missus told you off as well.
I got multiple tellings off. So anyway, I think we should start by actually playing at least some of the half-an-hour video of the research that I did on Serco. Okay, so here we go. This is going to be the first of our official reruns on Black Market
We won't
Cinema.
play the whole thing, guys. We'll just cut
fast
it up a
forward.
bit. Fast forward, go back,
By the way, if anything happens in this video and you really want us to comment on it or ask a question, put just a whole line of hashtags in the comments, and we'll stop the video, and then you can ask us, all right? So, for anyone that's not aware, this is episode 5 of COVID 1984, one of my first series of videos. This was made in the first week of October in 2020. Let me just add it. Here we go.
What he says to me is that this is so universal, this is so unanimous, this is something you have to...
I'll just start by saying this. I was so hyped, I didn't even remember to make an intro for this video. I literally just went straight in. Now, if you see in the top right-hand corner, that's what I'm talking about. Can you see that?
Yeah.
Let's just get the nice little other view that we had a minute ago. This one here. Get rid of that. Sorry, I can't recognise what's going on with this black market all over the place. It's like, what is this? There we go. Right, director's box, and then we go click, pow, something like this. Lethal the bizzle, and get rid of that. Sorry, guys. Right, so COVID 1984 Part 5, track and trace.
Accept so ubiquitously, we don't even need to say anything about it. Here's the picture. Every single paper. And that really fucking caught my attention, right? So then I looked into the law, which came out on the 28th.
This is when I used to put music in my videos.
About the isolation. Now, just before I go into that, this is a picture of the Chinese track and trace system. Annoying little notification, I apologise. They one's off QR codes like our one's going to. In China, based on how many infected people you've been around, you have 3 levels. Green means you're okay. Yellow means basically you're restricted access to buildings, venues, services, and actually regions of the country. You've got limited travel. But if you've got a red QR code, nothing. You stay at home. Okay, so that's how it works in China. And if anybody thinks that this track and trace app is not slowly going to be integrated into a Chinese-style credit score system, integrated with digital immunity passport, I have got news for you. And if you notice, guys, I'm pissed, fam. I've been researching this night and day since Friday, and some of the things I've learned, even I was surprised, right? Okay, so let's look at the government legislation that came into effect yesterday, September the 28th, 2020. So it's all about isolation.
September 29th.
People will be required to self-isolate from the 28th of September, supporting by payment of £500 a week. It is a week for those on lower incomes who cannot work from home. New fines for breaching the self-isolation will start at £1,000 and they'll go up to £10,000 for repeat offenders. So the big question is, how will this be enforced? How will you be told to isolate? You're going to get a phone call? No, you're going to get a notification from a track and trace app. The track and trace app, the NHS track and trace app, okay, NHS. So a number of steps will be taken to make sure that people comply to the rules. Actually, Joe, I've jumped ahead. I should start here. The Prime Minister said new regulations will mean that you are legally obliged to do so, to isolate. If you have the virus, or, this is important, or have been asked to do so by NHS track and trace. So this means, if we know you have the virus by way of a test, but you don't need a test, you just be asked. And how will you be asked? How will you be asked? Well, NHS track and trace call handlers making regular contact with those self-isolating with the ability to escalate any suspicion of non-compliance to local authorities and to local police. Using police resources to check compliance in highest incidence areas and in high-risk groups based on local intelligence. So, people have given me some shit on this, shit over this on Facebook already for trying to suggest that this is how you're going to get the information to tell you you've got to isolate. You don't have to have any symptoms, no test, and you can get £1,000 or a £10,000 fine for breaking it. And how do they know if you break it? Well, because even when your phone is turned off, it's still tracking GPS. And if you don't believe me,
No, I'd like to just, if I wasn't correct, I was actually correct there. That was how people were getting told to isolate. Because at this point, remember, this is September 29th, 2020. People did not believe that you would start to get messages on your phone
just randomly
saying you've been near an NPC and Euro program COVID, get home. Like, no one believed me, because I was, one of the first people I think in the UK to actually read this legislation and put it online. It was never, that's not going to happen. I was threatened with a £10,000 fine. I didn't even get a notification.
You can look that up. Even a phone turned off still tracks a GPS. That's why you can't take the batteries out of phones anymore. All right? Okay. So here's the next thing. I'm not going to go into all the boring stuff that the mainstream media are going to cover about the concerns around this track and trace app, because they're only telling you part of the story. They say the worst thing is that it's a private company. So who is this private company, right?
Here we go.
That has taken over this track and trace app. Well, I made a post today. I'll just pull this one over.
I was such an amateur back then, like
Company
crappy
called
clip on mic.
Serco. Now, Serco. This is the CEO. Look at his face, it looks familiar, right? Here's a picture of some immigrants by border control. And here is a patent. There were many patents for the coronavirus. So I think there's about 60, including all the subviruses and the vaccines and I can't remember the word. They do something to these vaccines.
Gain of function is what I'm trying to talk about.
You have to patent those as well. But the overall patent for coronavirus, I'll just put a picture of it. The Pirbright Institute. Remember that.
There's no Aberystwyth slang being used.
I've been researching this hard
isn't it?
First.
It's almost like hearing someone like say the C word to your mum over and over again. It's no surprise. that this one got taken down.
So what? Like, just before we get on, so what was going through your mind when you were doing this? Because you seem pretty amped in this video.
Well, I was actually mostly, I think, pissed off with myself that I hadn't already worked this out, that I hadn't put the pieces together, that there was already basically this company that was effectively a wing of the UK government that controlled, like what I'm going to go into, all of the fucking infrastructure that was needed to basically put in a police state.
And enslave the population.
And they run all the prisons as well. There's a really funny Sir Ginny link as well, which I mentioned in this video, which is quite like
Grandmaster Ginny.
Yeah, of course, because he's mates with this guy,
of course,
or his brother is. And then mates with like Prince Charles as well.
Since Friday, I made loads of notes, like shit loads of time, but then I come across this video, right? And this video does it better than I can ever see. It's 2 minutes long. This is who Serco is. Hold tight.
This is the Serco Group. They run all 7 immigration detention centres in Australia.
Why is it doing that? I hate it when it does that. Hold on.
Australia. But they do lots more. In fact,
this is like a live recorded video I used to make back then. It would take me so long to make videos because I didn't have Restream or anything like that. I just sort of sat there with a camera playing
and then edited.
And then I had the screen recorded and then I had to edit it all together. Oh my God, what an amateur.
they're probably
This is actually quite funny looking
It's
back.
a blast from the past, man.
the biggest company you've never heard of.
The biggest company you've never heard
All
of.
around the world outsourced to Serco. They run half of London's traffic lights, all of Dublin's, and in Ontario, Canada, they test you for your driver's licence. Serco are also the largest air traffic...
London, Ontario, Canada. Okay. All Commonwealth countries.
In the world. They've got 54 towers in the US, and they control Baghdad's air traffic.
Whoa.
They RAF squadron the Queen flies on. All over the planet, Serco are moving people, from metros in Dubai to buses in Adelaide.
Right, so I'm just going to stop there. Serco, the company that own the app for track and trace, that will be able to tell you to self-isolate with fines of up to £10,000 for breaking it. They also control air traffic control, transport systems, traffic lights. Now, in case anyone didn't know, the traffic lights and the transport systems in all of these developed countries that they work in, i.e. UK, America, Australia, and New Zealand, they're all linked with ANPR cameras and facial recognition cameras. So Serco have access to that entire infrastructure because they run it and own it and maintain it. All right? Okay, so that's step one. You seeing where this is going? Is a little red light going off? If you're new to my videos and you haven't seen all of the videos that were leading up to this, look at all the other COVID-19 84 videos, okay? All right, let's go.
And they're good at stopping
Sorry, my fucking sound card, man.
people from moving to...
I'm just going to skip forward a little bit.
Britain's been so successful.
Transport, nuclear warheads, they didn't cover it there. They're also hospitals, most of the hospital services, mobile prisons, and now the track and trace app, okay?
They basically run the farm, don't they? They're the farm boys.
We've seen that Serco, because I actually made some notes here, £5 billion revenue, 125,000 staff. That's their direct staff.
Skip
But
past
remember,
this because I
these
say
guys,
this in
that's
the
Serco.
speech. Right.
Serco Limited, trading as the Serco Group PLC. At the top, Crown Commercial Services. Yeah? It's owned by the Crown. What does Corona mean? Corona means crown. Corona is not just the crown of your highness, it's also the shape of the molecule inside your sinus. It's not Wuhan bronchitis, it's the act of some medical mafia pirates. Watch out for the freestyle coming soon. Okay, I'm going to draw your attention early onto another company, which is very closely linked with Serco, called Kinetic. For anyone that lives around my ends in Bournemouth, you know Kinetic. You drive past it as soon as you drive out of Bournemouth, that big sign by Verwood. There's a big centre down here. Southwest of England is absolutely vital for this unholy trinity of companies, which I'm going to expose to you. Kinetic, owned by Crown again, is one of them. Now, Kinetic, without going too far into it, everyone can look on their website, guys. These guys are the technology, weaponry, and technology and weaponry division of this trio, right? Owned by the Crown as well, the Queen, and Serco. Okay, so remember that Kinetic and Serco, the two companies. CEO of Serco is Rupert Soames, the grandson of Winston Churchill. Let's get into some of the controversies around Serco. claims a £108 million army of Serco contact tracers are being paid to watch Netflix. So basically, when's this from? 6th of August. 10,000 NHS England track and trace workers are only spoken to an average of 2.4 people each. So back in August, no one was using the track and trace app. And these people, Serco, CEO Winston Churchill's grandson, owned by the Crown Estate, the Queen, got paid £108 million to employ a load of people who sit around and do nothing in contact centres watching Netflix.
See, this is when people had literally been at home.
This is some serious research.
Grasping on then, yeah, you can see that. Like, I was pissed off when I made this video. I was pissed off at myself that I hadn't, like I say, I hadn't already worked this out. That the whole infrastructure was being run basically by one company. And that, this is the 36 billion.
The operation, the psyop was being run by Serco.
Yeah, in the hospitals as well. I wonder if, like, you remember when Carl Greaves came on the show and he told us that a lot of the doctors and nurses actually just went off sick or just left.
Yeah, and they just got numpties in that just...
They drafted in all these new people. Where do you think they came from? They probably came from G4S or Serco.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Shall I carry on with this?
Yeah,
because
it's good.
40 minutes, okay.
That's what number one. Now remember, Serco have the biggest contract to run immigration centres, detention centres. They run the border force, the controls. They also have the contract to run the skiffs and ribs, that's rigid inflatable boats that go out into the UK channel with border force to pick up migrants. I guess what Serco also do, they also own hotels. Just Google it, Serco hotels all around the country. So this old Nigel Farage right-wing conspiracy theory that all of these asylum seekers and illegal immigrants that are trying to get into the country, landing on the beaches in Hastings, are getting put up in these hotels, 4-star hotels, at the expense of the UK taxpayer. Guess what? Serco not only own the hotels, they also run the services that are picking them up out of the channel. They own the detention centres. They run the whole operation. So when you hear these stories about these NGOs, non-government organisations, which is what Serco essentially is, although it's owned by the Queen, basically aiding and abetting human trafficking and bringing illegals and asylum seekers and economic migrants. Asylum seekers are allowed to come. We're talking about illegal immigrants and economic migrants in these boats coming in as well. Because it's true, I don't care what anyone says. Say whatever you want about me, it's true. Serco own the operation from start to finish. Goes deeper, let's go deeper.
Let's go deeper.
Yarl's Wood Immigration Centre. I'm not going to go too deep into this because this story is like, it goes all the way to fucking Narnia, right? Yarl's Wood is a very infamous immigration centre that in the mainstream media, they say there's sex abuse in there. However, in a nutshell, if you go a little bit deeper than this BBC thing, what you'll find out is basically there's a prostitution ring of asylum seekers being picked up, put into sex trafficking, then picked up again. And you've heard about it in the news, they go through these cycles, same as in the young people's homes. And I wouldn't be surprised if Serco don't run half of the CPS as well. Absolutely.
The Child Protection Service, the detention centres,
everything.
So all of those kids that go missing at the weekends from the halfway houses and stuff, and come back and they've blatantly been passed around, sexually abused, pimped out. Same happens with the asylum seekers. Obviously not the working males. They probably get used for psyops and stuff like that. Crazy.
Absolutely disgusting. These are the people, remember, Serco are track and trace. So, Serco also run the prisons. And guess what? The Gates Foundation are involved as well. Don't believe me, we're going to see a lot more of fucking Bill and Melinda Gates. The Gates Foundation is filling its coffers with the profits from private prisons. Bill and Gates Foundation, a separate organisation from the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation Trust, a separate organisation from their foundation, manages the charity's endowment assets, and it just got 200,000 shares in Serco Group PLC, which operate private prisons and detention centres across the UK, Australia and New Zealand. 3.7 million it invested.
Centres.
Yeah.
So, that's the first time Gates appears in this story. Trust me, it's not the last. You can tell I'm pissed off, right? You know why I'm pissed off? Because this is so fucking obvious. Anyone can go and do this. I'm not a genius. I'm not a seer. I can't see into the future. All I can do is read. I've looked into this for a long time. I might know what to look for. Fair play, but I'm sorry. I don't care if anyone gets offended because this is
Mark
serious. And it's
Passio
gonna
coming
happen
out
soon.
there, isn't it?
If we don't start to just not.
Wait until we see what I'm like on the park bench and stuff. I'm literally like, yeah, you can say that a lot has changed since this time in 2020. But it's very good to look back, guys, and this is what black market cinema is all about. Apart from just giving a chance to rerun this contraband material, it's also a time for reflection and a time to gauge progression. Because remember, it's not about staying angry and staying like this. It's about rising above. And this is part of the process. I will be taking questions and criticism coming up.
Comply. If anyone downloads this track and trace thing in front of me and tries to tell me it's a good idea and wants to debate me, I'll debate with you properly, right? But if you try and start saying tin foil hat in shit like that, I'll make a dunce hat and I'll just put it on your head and I'll fucking hold you by your throat until you say you're the dunce. Because when you download this, you'll acquiesce into it, man. Really pissed off, mate.
Wait a minute, did I just say that I will make a dunce hat, put it on your head,
Grab someone
and
by
hold
the
you
throat.
round the throat until you say, admit that you're the dunce?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what staying up for 3 days does to you.
Right, it gets hold up. We're not even halfway there. How long is this so far? 20 minutes. Whoa. And I'll tell you what, this is the fillet. I'm giving you the fillet of what I've found. If I presented everything I've found in its intrinsic detail, we'd be here for 3 or 4 hours. Because I reckon I've done 50 or 60 hours of research of this since Friday. And I've got to try and cram it into a half-hour video. Right. I'm going to tell you the next level of this. The shadow government uses SES, the Special Executive Service in the US, Serco, and OPIC as portals into unspeakable corruption. Now, I know these are blogs. If you want to look into detail of this, it's for everyone to see.
What do you care about those people? What difference does it make to you?
Trillions of dollars recovered to empower real wealth in the creators in America. So this is talking about Trump taking these people down, yeah. But I want to go down. So look at this, right? I can't remember. That looks like a Rosicrucian cross, like a Celtic cross. So we've got this sort of like unholy 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 6-pointed star. Crown agents, US aid, Lockheed Martin. Now I'm going to do a whole thing into Lockheed Martin and what they're fucking involved in. Serco and OPIC. These are basically the infrastructure of what you want to call the deep state, the cabal, the international crime corporation of the Khazarian Mafia, whatever you want to call these people. This is the infrastructure they use, yeah? And Serco is a big arm of it. And yeah, it's linked to, okay, here we go. Rupert Soames. He's got an OBE.
That guy on the right literally looks like every one of those like drawings of like lizard hierarchy.
Yeah.
It does not look human at all.
Reptilians.
The grandson of Winston Churchill. Who's this guy? Sir Alan Gardner. These men have pledged oaths to allegiance to the Queen. They're crown property. These are agents of the crown. He's going to be your prison warden. People that download this app, you download this app, you're entering yourself into a contract with this man. Believe me, it's not a contract you want to be in. Right, now we talked about Kinetic. We talked about Serco. The other...
And when I learned about the Pirbright Institute, I'll just stop it there. This was when I realised that the Soviet Union had been planned for at least 100 years.
Yep.
When I started looking into these guys, the Pirbright Institute, Sir, what was it? Sir, he's got a worm in his name. Sir Richard the Worm Rothschild, Lord Pirbright, Cecil Rhodes, Round Table, all the original old school farmers.
Secret societies, guys.
They are the dark times for Tesco's. Big up Alexander Snell. Is everyone enjoying black market cinema so far? Let's have a little bit of interaction here at our 47-minute point. Big shout out to Rise and Shine, Donna Harper, Sam Carno, Andy Pandy 33, Auntie Coviet. Yeah, foil for life. Loyal to the foil.
Loyal to the foil.
What's Eye for an Eye saying? Lance is more chilled now. You better hope I'm more chilled now. No one would still want to watch me
I
now.
read a comment earlier since someone said Master Lee turned up and chilled us all out.
Yes, well, everyone saw what happened to us when Master Lee turned up and reignited our third force. Then we realised we didn't have to keep on battling the denying force.
No.
It's actually our friend.
Yeah, run with it.
Yeah, this apocalypse was made for our entertainment. Let's enjoy it.
The other thing involved in this is the Pirbright Institute. Now let's look on the Pirbright Institute's website. Preventing and controlling viral disease. I told you, in the southwest of England, in Hampshire, in Surrey, we've got the Pirbright Institute, we've got Kinetic, and we've got Serco. Actually, Serco's based in London, I lie, but it's all in the south of England. Basically, Pirbright own the patent to coronavirus. The coronavirus hub, the latest research, COVID-19. What is the Pirbright Institute? Yeah, Woking, Surrey. By the way, these guys were responsible for foot and mouth. Look into that yourself.
Just a
The
side
Pirbright
note there.
Institute equals the military, equals Rothschild, equals Gates Foundation, equals coronavirus. Well, that's a fucking big claim. Well, maybe not. The Pirbright Institute is a publicly funded private company with a...
You know, the thing is, right, when I first said this was a proper hardcore conspiracy theory. Whereas now, this kind of information, I would say, is actually pretty much almost in the normosphere. You know, that
Yeah, it's pretty common knowledge.
yeah, it is common knowledge. Like, you know, there's not many people that would still, if you properly sat down with them and held up a screen to their face, would deny that the Rothschilds and the Pirbright Institute are involved in coronavirus.
Yeah.
They basically own coronavirus.
Social engineers.
Yeah. Well, they're not just social engineers, they're meat suit engineers
Well, yeah.
as well. Yeah, engineering on meat suits. Let's have a nice little... Does anyone like the new banners that we have here? Rise Above Black Market Cinema. Brace yourself, peasants. This is contraband material.
diverse range of major stakeholders receiving strategic funding from the Biotechnology and Biological Science Research Council, the BBSRC, which is part of a UK Research and Innovation UKRI. Our major stakeholders are Biotechnology and Biological Sciences Research Council, Department for Environment, Food and Rural Service. I deal with them at the boatyard. DEFRA, absolute bastards. The Wellcome Trust, that's an important name, remember them. The same names keep turning up again and again and again. You literally couldn't write this if you tried. You could make a movie about this, people would say it's too fucking obvious and corny. The Medical Research Council, the international funding and disease agencies such as OIE, I don't know who that is, WHO, the Wuhan Hoax Organisation, the European Commission, Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, all the same names you would expect. So, we've seen the name Rothschild there, yeah? It's the same name you've always said, oh, that's a stupid conspiracy theory. Pirbright Institute isn't Rothschild's, really. Henry de Worms, first Baron Pirbright, who set up the Pirbright Institute in Woking in Surrey. Let's scroll down. His paternal grandmother was Chance Jeanette Rothschild, and his great-grandfather was...
It's like having a nail gun and nailing Normies to the wall.
That is the most Rothschild as you could get. He's the grandson of Mayor Amshur Rothschild.
Did I just say that's the most Rothschild you can get?
Yeah, I think so.
You can't get any more Rothschild than that.
That's authentic Rothschild.
If you are directly like bloodline lineage to Mayor Amshur, his name was actually Mayor. That wasn't his title. He was the mayor as well.
Yeah,
of
yeah,
every town he lived in.
Mayor.
Mayor Amshur Rothschild. Amshur.
I don't need to talk to anyone about who the Rothschilds are. I don't need to... So basically, the Pirbright Institute owns the patent to coronavirus, which I'll show you in a sec. I've got a screenshot of it. You look at the patents office. Okay? Linked intrinsically with Serco, Crown Agency. Linked intrinsically with Kinetic, Crown Agency. Let's go deeper. This is where it gets really interesting. Whoever put this together is a fucking genius. Coronavirus, traced to the British Crown. It is the crown of your highness. The Crown virus. The Pirbright Institute UK has been awarded 11 US patents, including coronavirus patent number 10, 130 and 701. The Pirbright Institute is controlled by the Queen's Golden Share, along with Serco and Kinetic. Pronounced Kinetic. I would say Quinetic. Pirbright's controllers track back to Serco, Kinetic and Sir Geoffrey E. Patty, Chairman Marconi. These are big names. And the British Intellectual Property Institute, outrageously, British Serco today runs the US Patent Office. It runs, do you understand that? A Crown-owned agency runs the Patent Office in America. So everything in America that gets patent goes through Serco. And people think I'm crazy. Honestly.
Get some sleep, Lance.
So outrageously, British Serco runs the US Patent Office.
Talking to myself.
US FEMA. It runs FEMA. Zone 2. It runs the US websites for Obamacare. So it runs the infrastructure to which US citizens used to, I don't know, did Trump get rid of Obamacare totally? But anyway, everyone said it was awful. Serco runs that too. They run the blood banks, the prisons. They basically provide the infrastructure for the pokey end of the stick of the government. That's the way Rupert Soames puts it. Serco controls US Patent Office, bio company. It issued the patent. Serco issued the patent for coronavirus to the Pirbright Institute in 2008. So basically, what we're saying here is the US patent for coronavirus issued. Oh no, this one was issued in 2018.
Ooh.
The Pirbright Institute, UK Research and Innovation, Pirbright, Woking, Surrey. Funders, DARPA. Everyone, you know what DARPA is? DARPA's like the most evil fucking research company in America. Wow, this is. I'll tell you what. I've got to take a break at 27 minutes. Wait, we covered a lot already. Serco.
I literally feel like
linked.
back then I was the guy in the meme, like, you know, the guy with the conspiracy theory.
Yeah,
meme
yeah.
where he's got mad hair and he's like,
yeah,
look at
yeah.
this. Like, wow, this is quite mad. Like watching this back. Yeah, in a way, I sort of miss this time. Do you know what I mean? Because everything there, every day, it's like, boom, groundbreaking, boom, here's the evidence that I...
Yeah, but it got unhealthy.
Oh, yeah,
it
did
did
get
get
unhealthy, yeah.
Got unhealthy for all of us, mate.
Yeah, yeah.
When I went into Pizzagate, that was it.
Yeah, like, I remember when me and Evelyn I showed her the the Pizzagate, what I'm talking about, Brothers of the Black Banner.
Yeah.
It's the most banned Pizzagate material on the whole internet. At one point, I could get part 1 to 6. I showed her that on the back end of I think it might have been this weekend. It was a weekend where we'd been up all weekend researching, and it hurt her. Like,
it is hurtful, mate.
Because, like,
if you look right into it, it'll change you.
Yeah, we're gonna have to. I think the next episode we do of BMC will have to be the Pizzagate research.
Yeah, that all got
I need
taken
to make
down.
sure I've still got all of it. I know part 3. Yeah, I'll have to have a look. I know part 3 is still on Odyssey. Anyway, back to this was COVID 1984 part 5, track and trace. This is the first video I made that got over 1,000 views.
To the Crown, to this unholy trio of companies, including Kinetic and the Pirbright Institute, which owns the patent to coronavirus. It's a spider's web. Okay, so we're going to go back to the screen grab. 3, 2, 1. Screen grab. Here we are. So we've got. I'm going to say one thing. This information I'm presenting to you here is in the form of a blog, basically. Now, I've gone and looked into a good over 50% of all these claims, all of the links, and I've checked on them. I don't have time to go through it all on this video. We'll be here for 3 or 4 hours.
Nice to see you got some food, isn't you?
Yeah. Queen Elizabeth, the Pilgrim Society.
I didn't have time to pause the video.
Founding
to chew the
members.
pizza enough.
No.
Winston Churchill. Remember who's Winston Churchill's grandson?
It's a family
Pirbright
affair.
Founders, Wellcome Trust, Pilgrim Society founding member, GlaxoSmithKline, and the Melinda Gates Foundation. All the same names over and over again. I'm going to skip forward. Don't tell me this hasn't been planned for a very, very long time. Here's the original post. Let's go into it. If anyone wants to challenge me with this, or I've got any of it wrong, if any of this information I'm presenting is not 100% accurate, tell me in the comments section. January 30th, 2020, the coronavirus outbreak was just declared a World Health Emergency by the WHO. Tellingly, WHO is one of the coronavirus creators, as we will show below. The coronavirus was invented by the Pirbright Institute at posh, well-appointed laboratories in Woking, just outside the M25. 1 hour interview here with Gabrielle McKinnon. I'm not going to play you that. The Pirbright Institute is a British charity. UK's Government Biotechnology and Bioresearch Council is involved. incorporated a commercial Serco and merged RCA into it. So they've merged lots of companies. There's an old company called Serc which is involved. This is the Unilever, Wellcome Trust, Zeneca, Dyson, Microsoft. Again and again and again.
All big
So-
names.
It's all the same names. Oh, here we go.
Oh, here we go. This is what I wanted to show you. Here's a pretty crazy claim. May 17, 2006, US Patent Office contract with Serco is missing. Serco did not incorporate into the US until 2008 during President Barack Obama. Pilgrim Society blackmailer for MI6, CIA and Mossad. The human trafficking procurer for the Pilgrim Society is Jeffrey Epstein. So this blog is claiming there is a Jeffrey Epstein link. Oh shit, I've jumped down. Right.
I didn't even have time to edit this video properly. I just posted it
So
straight
this
away.
Pilgrim Society, formed in 1902, seems to be the overarching
Cornerstone there, look.
secret society think tank which controls Serco, Kinetic, pirbright.
Jeffrey was probably literally like the cornerstone of the modern Pirbright Institute.
Yeah.
It's like it's all when you find out it's really actually all the same thing, isn't it? It's just the Soviet Union. It's always been there. It was just ready to jump into action.
Don't let the NPCs see it
Yeah,
if they choose to.
yeah, consensual.
Right, Lockheed Martin's in the mix. Microsoft and Bill Gates are in the mix. It's always the same people. So the conclusion of this vlog. Serco, a Crown-controlled UK company, runs the US Patent Office. Stay tuned. More on Serco's sister Crown company, Kinetic. Is a former CIA director. George Talent was a Crown Kinetic director soon after leaving the CIA. Serco formed the Pirbright Institute, this claims. Submitted their coronavirus invention to the US Patent Office, having received funding for the work from Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, the Wellcome Trust, the European Commission, World Health Organization. In just 17 months, the Serco-managed patent examiner Bao Q Li, obviously Chinese, issued the coronavirus patent to Pirbright with almost no objections. On the British side, everything about the coronavirus tracks back to the Crown, the eugenics-loving Pilgrim Society, Crown agents and their corrupt Privy Council courtiers. Now, you've heard the word eugenics and how Bill Gates, his father, and his mother was in head of Planned Parenthood, the adoption service in America. His father was a eugenicist. That means population control.
Not adoption, abortion centre. I got that wrong. Planned Parenthood isn't about adoption; it's about abortion, isn't it? Sorry, I just fact-checked myself there.
From a track and trace app. Trillions of dollars recovered to empower real.
Right, sorry, I've just gone to the wrong bit. One sec. Where did we get to? We got past that.
We're nearly at the end, I think.
Yeah, we were, weren't we? My mistake.
Yeah, there we go.
Okay,
Get back
I
there.
think to the back there.
Hit it.
Control. This is not new to people who are listening. I'm sure it's not new. This is putting it all together. Okay. Kinetics holding. Oh, this is they've gone right in here. They've gone right in.
This is proper rough rabbit hole recorded on camera.
These Soames characters. Rupert Soames and Nicholas Soames. Nicholas Soames considered Prince Charles his best friend.
Isn't that
Charles
nice?
was the best man at his wedding. Massively linked to the royals. Prince Charles's friend, Nicholas Soames, threatened Diana 6 months before her death and warned her to stop meddling in the controversy over landmines, an inquest heard yesterday. Well, that's no surprise, because these two brothers, Rupert and Nicholas Soames, between them, Serco and Aegeus, I think the name of his company is, they're two of the biggest military contractors in the world. Up there with Lockheed Martin, Raytheon. Princess Diana in intimate confessions describe her sex life with Prince Charles as very odd. I bet it was. Okay, getting a little bit sidetracked there. You can see where this is going and how intrinsically they're linked.
Oh, I wonder if you've got the picture of Jimmy Savile. There is a picture with
Sir Ginny?
Prince Charles,
Grandmaster
sorry,
Ginny.
Grandmaster Ginny, Prince Charles, and one of the Soames brothers. Oh yeah, look, there's Soames on Epstein's flight list as well. Of
course.
And here it is. Here is a screenshot of Epstein's flight log showing Rupert and Millie Soames. The CEO of Serco is Cameron's mate, fellow old Etonian Rupert Soames, brother of Tory MP and Cameron lawyers Nicholas Soames. That is Epstein's flight log. This whole vlog shows all of the other people on Epstein's flight log. And here, finally, we'll end off with a picture of Jimmy Savile, Baroness Soames,
Oh right,
and the
Master
Prime Minister
Ginny.
at the time, James Callaghan. 1979, Year of the Child. So, here's a recap.
Fuck, I'm good.
The track and trace app for this country, that if adopted, widespread, and everyone has to use it, which is where it's going to go, let's face it, will be able to issue a quarantine or an isolation order to you. Use a company called Serco to trace and track where you are and to fine you up to £10,000 for breaking this order. Serco is the largest, or one of the largest, outsourcing companies in the world. Defence, transport, immigration, policing, prisoner tags. Has a whole host of really bad scandals, ripping off the government, us. Sex rings, prostitution rings, fight clubs, abuse. It's owned by the grandsons of Winston Churchill. The company, it's not owned by them, sorry, they're the CEOs. The company is owned by the Crown. I couldn't make this up if I tried, guys. So here we go. Please, people, do not download the Track and Trace app. You're putting the key in the door and opening the cell to your own digital prison. My next episode going on this might be about the Chinese credit system, the credit score, and the concentration camps in China, and about what happens if you get a bad score. So we could all see where this is going. It's getting scary, guys. We all need to come together and think about how we need to stand up to this. And I'll tell you how we stand up to it. It's by not acquiescing, civil disobedience, non-compliance. If everyone refused to download this and no business supported it, it will all go away tomorrow. COVID 1984, rise above. Subscribe, like, share. Thank you to everyone that's already doing that. Thank you to all my new viewers. I'll be back with new videos very, very soon.
Back then, when
There you have it.
I used to end the video with a picture of the sofa with the Donald Trump and Mr. T-Pillow, like crazy. That's really mental. So, I mean,
It's cool though.
yeah, it is cool.
It was a cool video.
No, it was a cool video, and that was the first video.
You looked wired, man.
Well, I all that was going around in my head was Serco, Nicholas Soames, Raytheon,
Grandmaster Ginny.
I was just putting together basically what it was, you know, like I said.
So
to
was
you.
this before the speech?
Yes.
So this was before the speech.
Yeah.
So what was your percentage of knowledge on the whole cut of rabbit?
Well, at this point, I had just realised I'd had my full epiphany of what the Soviet Union was, and my worst fears had sort of been imagined. That
Because of your knowledge of the Chinese credit system,
yeah,
the Uyghur Muslim camps, concentration camps, and you knew that that's how they were going to try and implement that over here through the Soviet Union.
By this time, I'd already worked out basically that.
Sorry, through Serco.
Yeah. By this time, I'd already worked out that there weren't any sides, that, you know, the Chinese Communist Party was the same as, you know, the power structure over here. I'd already worked out that.
Because we've talked before, we've theorized that the Chinese model was just a beta test.
Yeah. You test
for
it
the
on,
rest of the world.
You test it on the most compliant population first, that most likely to accept it.
So was that what you have? Did you know that at this point?
I also forgot, just before making this, I had just got back from spending 6 weeks flying around Europe. Remember, I had that really nice MMA gig.
Yeah.
So when everyone was like shitting themselves about doing anything here, thinking you can't do anything.
You were in Sweden, and
I had gone to Bucharest in Romania, Then I went to France, and then I went to Stockholm for like 4 weeks, and I saw that it was true that like Swedish people were literally doing nothing.
Yeah, because you made a video.
Yeah,
You
I made a video of
in
that.
Sweden, yeah.
And I proved that no one
and it was normal.
It was right in the centre of Stockholm, right in the centre, the rich centre.
At that, there was people like just chilling, eating at restaurants, and that was fucking
normal.
unheard of.
Completely normal. No one was wearing a mask. I walked for 6 miles through the city. I showed cafes, I showed shopping malls, I showed inside hotels, no mask.
Like, who's this weirdo with the big hair filming me?
Yeah, and then what I worked out was that, okay, so why is that? Well, the Swedish population are probably the most sensible and the most reasonable. So if you're going to test that, if you're going to beta test not doing the Soviet Union on a population, you choose them. And if you're going to beta test testing it on someone, you would use China. So I had this epiphany, and basically this video, like I say, before this, I had like 100 subscribers. I was getting a couple of 100 views on videos, and that was about it. When I made this video, this is when people started coming up to me. That's when
it blew up.
Yeah, and they started saying, holy shit, I cannot believe what you found. And I was like, I just said, I can't believe I didn't already find it out. I was like, it's so obvious, like it's already there. It's already
in your face.
It's already ready to go. So then, it started to go a bit crazy. This video started to get shared a lot, and I think it got to 5,000 views, which for me was mental. And then I started getting loads of new subscribers. And then I got asked to go and speak.
Yeah.
Now, bearing in mind, up to this point, although I was fully versed in public speaking, presenting, being on stage in front of thousands of people, I'd never got on the mic in front of people and told the truth before.
No, that's a whole different ball game.
Yeah, I mean, I'd been interviewed on someone's phone, but I'd never been held a microphone in front of a crowd and told the truth. Now, big shout to Mike in Bournemouth, who was sort of inviting people to speak at some gatherings outside the town centre. These people had already been gathering for months every week with their signs.
Yeah, this is when people were getting shut down.
One of the first videos I made was actually covering this protest outside Bournemouth town centre. Just about 100, maybe 50 people, 100 people. They invited me, and I was like, they said, come and do a speech about Serco and track and trace.
Because they'd watched your videos.
Yeah, because they'd seen the video.
So they knew.
I said, okay.
They knew what you were about.
Yeah. Now, I was already getting a bit of criticism from people online saying that I was making these videos and I'd started the Rise Above stage channel because I was just seeking attention because I wasn't on stage anymore. So I was always a little bit dubious about going out and speaking in public, because obviously when a mic's put in my hand in front of people, there's a certain thing that happens, and my critics are always going to say, oh, well, you haven't got any shows anymore, so now you've replaced your MCing in clubs and festivals and on stage with this. So I was always a bit dubious to do it. But when this video dropped and when people had really said, like, I've showed this video to my nan and now she knows the score, I decided that now is probably the time to go and speak. So I went down there on a Saturday. I believe it was roughly 1 week after I made this video. So I'd had some sleep and I went down there. Now, I think, let me play something first, because I believe that I made, I'm trying to think if the speech on the bench comes first or after. All right, well, anyway, I'm now going to play the Serco speech.
Yeah, let's hit it.
Let's hit it. Right, now, what I found here is not the version that was on YouTube. This is actually the original recording.
Talk us through this.
Off my phone, right? So
this is a bit odd.
I set up my phone. Back then I just recorded things on my phone. I set it up on my tripod right in front of the bench that I was about to stand on in front of Bournemouth Town Centre, and I pressed record. Now, for some reason, it stopped recording after about 50 seconds and then started recording again. So I'm just going to play the first 50 seconds, and you can tell how agitated I still am about this, because the lady here, Sam, is introducing me, and I'm sort of going, no, I'll come on in 10 minutes. And then she said, oh, Lance will be, and I go, no. Like, you can see the mood I'm already in.
In a couple of minutes.
No, I'll do it now.
Right, can we introduce Lance? Can we give him a round of applause? got the other mic?
Have I got the other mic? Yeah, it's in my bag. Don't worry, I haven't lost it.
Brilliant.
Guys, you have to excuse me, like, I'm a bit nervous. Public speaking isn't my thing. Only joking! Okay, guys, if you haven't seen my YouTube show, I might do a little bit later. Okay, in some of the early episodes, I looked into like the fake deaths, the fake tests, like we've been talking about. I looked into ID 2020, the idea that this vaccination is also going to be a digital biometric ID platform. Okay, so I talked about that. I looked at the Wuhan hoax organisation, the UN, the Gates Foundation, all of it. I was going to make this other video about the wildfires in California on Friday, but then I saw the paper, and Australia, I saw the paper in the morning, right? And I saw 9 different... Right, now that's where the video stopped filming. When I'm talking about the newspaper, right, that we saw at the start of the last video. Now I'm just going to go to the next part of the video, which mysteriously was still recorded because my phone carried on recording. I don't know if anyone on screen can see it, but Andy PG, we're just going to look in the properties. Can you tell me how long exactly that video is, please?
Precisely 33 minutes.
No. We're not
to
joking.
The second.
To the second. We're not joking. This is before any of us started talking about 33, before I started going on about it, before we even met Master Lee. This is before any of that. And this is the video that changed, well, this is the speech that changed my life.
And it's 33 minutes long.
And it's 33 minutes long. This is not the version that went viral. The versions that went viral were recorded off other people's phones. There's about 4 of them, and they were shared hundreds of thousands of times. So it really went truly viral. And here it is. This is the speech that changed everything. I present to you guys the Serco speech. It wasn't saying you need this today. There was no counter story. It was just a picture. That really got my attention. So I started doing an epic rabbit hole that lasted for about 60 hours. Okay. Now, people were saying that this NHS app is actually run by a private company, which isn't actually technically true. The app itself is made by Public Health England. I know someone that's working on the app. However, the infrastructure of our entire test and trace system, the enforcement, is run by a company called Serco. Has anybody heard of Serco? Yes! The Serpent Company. Queen Elizabeth. Right, now before I tell you about Serco, this is how it works. The law changed 2 weeks ago. If you are asked to isolate for any reason, you do not need a test, you do not need symptoms. You can get a little notification on your phone saying stay at home, and you can get a £1,000 fine. And if you break the rules, you can get up to a £10,000 fine. This is administered by Serco. Okay? Who is Serco? Here we go. Bear with me, I've made some extensive notes. Right, Serco are the multinational company that employ more people than British Armed Services, 125,000 people. They've got 40 subsidiary companies across the globe. They are the largest outsourcing company in the world, and they win 70% of the contracts they bid for. They turn over £5 billion a year. Here's a short look into what they do. They cover waste disposal all over the UK, transport, half of London's traffic lights, all of Dublin's. Ontario, Canada, they issue your driving licence. In New Zealand, trains, ferries, all across the UK too. In Australia, they have a presence on every single military base. That's just in Australia. Serco are contracted to run the Federal Emergency Management Agency, FEMA. Does anybody know what FEMA is? They administer and run 2 whole FEMA camps worth $600 million. 17 states they run FEMA, sorry. Immigration detention centres across the UK, Australia and New Zealand. Air traffic control across the whole world. Public transport in the West and in the Middle East is dominated by Serco. That means the ANPR cameras. That means the facial recognition cameras. They run, own and maintain all of that infrastructure. They are contracted for the DWP call centres. They're the largest operator of private prisons in the UK. Who knew that it's not just the US that has private for-profit prisons? They're in the UK too, and they're run by, guess who? Serco, the Serpent Company. They run every single state school in Bradford between 2001 and 2011. In that decade, kid me not, was that not the decade when the grooming, industrialised raping of young girls was its most prevalent in the North East? They ran all of the schools in Bradford. Political persuasions aside, that happened, and they were in charge of every school in Bradford. Along with G4S, they are the largest contractor for services for vulnerable children. They run the infrastructure of the Child Protection Services.
They run the UK ballistic missile system and our entire nuclear arsenal. They run 3 UK naval bases. Serco are contracted to administer many UK hospitals. The entire NHS blood bank is run by Serco. Does anybody starting to get an idea of how huge this multinational conglomerate company is? It is the octopus, it is the snake, it is the spider at the centre of the web. Serco have contracted for our high defence Skynet, i.e. Terminator 2. Skynet satellite system, Serco run that. They also run and administer the US Patent Office. They issue every patent in the US. Serco have been involved in scandals in every one of these areas. They were fined £22 million. They run the ankle tagging for prisoners. So all the prisoners in the UK that have got that ankle tag on, that's Serco. £22 million fine for charging the government for dead prisoners. Who knows about that scandal with Nigel Farage's trial? What you think about Nigel Farage at the window? That scandal of those immigrants that have been picked up in the Channel and been put into hotels. Guess who's doing that? Serco. They run every single immigration centre. Guess what they also run? All of the high-speed rescue boats for the Border Force. Every single one of them is issued, serviced and ran by Serco. They are on commission to pick up every immigrant. They get £900 a pop to put them in their own immigration centres. And if they're full, guess where they go? In the 4-star hotels. Serco pick up the bill and they probably double it before they give it to the government and we have to pay for it. Yeah, £900 a pop for each asylum seeker. A very infamous asylum detention centre in Yarl's Wood is run by Serco, and it's infamous for sexual abuse and prostitution rings. They've lost lots of contracts for malpractice. In August, they got £108 million to run test and trace. And for the first few months, everyone was just sat around watching Netflix. They had contacted an average of 2 people each. £108 million we spent on that. So, who owns Serco? Serco is owned by CCL, the Crown Corporation Limited. Who owns the Crown Corporation Limited? The Crown Estate. Who owns the Crown Estate? The Crown. It's owned by the Crown. Corona means crown. Does anybody know that? Yeah. Corona is a crown virus. It's the virus of your highness, okay? CCL and the Privy Council have the golden share in Serco, based in Hook in the southwest. There are 2 other companies I'm going to expose. They're all in the southwest too. Who's heard of Kinetic with a Q? Who's driven out past Verwood and seen that big sign? Kinetic are the cyber defence and military wing of Serco. They are also owned by the Crown. They are the same institute. Serco have an $8 billion US defence contract and Kinetic have a $9 billion US defence contract. There is also another institution of this unholy trio. Who's heard of the Pirbright Institute? The Pirbright Institute in Surrey was responsible for foot and mouth. They also work at Porton Down. It was started by Sir Lord Pirbright, Edward de Worm Rothschild, linked with Cecil Rhodes and the Round Table and the Pilgrim Society. Does anybody know who those people are? Starting to paint a picture, guys, yeah? It's not just a private company. Pirbright Institute owns 200-acre site with Kinetic with a satellite defence system and an underground base. Now, Pirbright have the patent to a coronavirus. Who knows how many patents on coronavirus? It's in between 60 and 70. For various different strains, there are 60 to 70 patents. Pirbright has the main patent on coronavirus. Guess who granted the patent? Any guesses? It was Serco, because they run the patent office. Painting a picture yet, guys? Lord Pirbright Rothschild, who started the Pirbright Institute, was a spiritual mentor of Cecil Rhodes, Alfred Milner, the Pilgrim Society, DERA, which is the Defence Evaluation and Research. This is the military-industrial complex. We're talking about the military-industrial complex. They're the progenitors of MI5, MI6 and GCHQ. It all came from the Pilgrim Society and this group of institutions. Right, they also funded eugenics. Does anybody know what eugenics is? It's racial selective science. Along with the Rockefeller Foundation, the Pirbright Institute and the Round Table Society are involved in funding Nazi experiments. After the Nuremberg trials, they continued to fund it. They also created the idea of concentration camps in the Boer War. So we have the theme of concentration camps, eugenics, vaccines and defence companies, all involved in this unholy trio of track and trace.
could tell everyone went a little bit
Yes,
silent.
we have a little.
Everyone went a little bit silent there before they're like, yeah, ooh. And I was like,
Well, you just dropped a lot of info on people.
yeah. And I'd just like to point out, this wasn't all written down. I basically just had a list of facts and figures there. Like I was freestyling this. It was from the top of the dome. And
I just wish you'd folded your iPad.
Mate, I know. It's really bugging me. It's bugged me for the last 2 years.
Like flapping
Yeah. around. Yeah, I didn't even have time to fold my iPad up.
No.
I was just gonna I need to drop these red pills right here. Yeah, and I'd just like to point out I am currently wearing the same T-shirt that I wore. This is the first ever Rise Above T-shirt, and I'm wearing it today for the black market screening. Big shout out to everyone that's tuned in. We've got 72 people now. It is Tuesday night. It is a channel that's got less than 1,000 subscribers, so it's quite hard to find this channel. Big shout out to Magix and Oma Beats who are tuned in, and all of the family. Let's carry on. Well, unless you wanted to add anything that I've said so far in this speech.
No. Keep going.
I'm amped once again here. Like you say, it's all coming out, but I'm tripping over my words because
you want to get it out.
Yeah, and there's a lot to get out as well.
Enter the Gates Foundation, our great friends Bill and Melinda Gates. Does anybody know how many shares they have in Serco and their particular avenue of private prisons? 200,000 shares, worth about $20 million. Pirbright, guess where it's got a massive office, and it works with the Viral Institute, Wuhan! Surprise, surprise. Now, although Serco is owned by the Crown and the Golden Share, does anybody know who the CEO of Serco is? Sir Rupert Soames. With his brother Sir Nicholas Soames, does anybody know who their grandfather is? Winston Churchill. 5 points for the man over there. Nicholas Soames, Rupert's brother, is best friends, literally best friends, famously with Mr. Prince Charles, Mr. Captain Reset. And yeah, we all know.
Captain Reset.
Famously,
Reject.
Nicholas Soames warned Princess Diana 6 months before her death to stop investigating landmines. Do you know why? Because he's the CEO of Aegis, one of the biggest military industrial contractors, which is also involved in landmines. In Australia, they have I've skipped back. Okay, so, right, I'm now going to go down a bit of a further rabbit hole. Nicholas Soames is best friends with Prince Charles, so by default, guess who he's pictured with many times and also good friends with? Jimmy Savile. His brother Rupert Soames, the CEO of Serco. Guess whose flight log he's on with his wife Millie? Jeffrey Epstein is intrinsically linked with some of these military industrial complexes through Lockheed Martin. Okay, so this little island of debauchery is actually linked intrinsically with the military industrial program, with defense contractors. It gets so deep, even I was totally blown away by what I found over the last weekend. So basically, the man that is the CEO of Serco, owned by the Crown, is going to administer a system that when you sign your permissions to the app, when we have apps, everyone is so scared about the permissions for Snapchat. Oh my God, what's it going to do? What's this flashlight going to do? Can you imagine when you press I accept on the test and trace app that comes from Serco, the biggest military industrial contractor in the world? Can you imagine what the small print says in that app? I can tell you now that it is I've seen the research, it's the biggest backdoor into your phone that you can imagine. That's one thing. You're also entering into a contract where you can get a notification at any time for any reason because you've been near to someone that allegedly had a test that's totally inaccurate for coronavirus, and you have to go home right now and you get a £1,000 fine. Who's going to be administering it? Serco, the people that administer the ankle tags for prisoners, the people that administer mobile prisons, nuclear defence, blood banks. Is this the kind of people that we want to be entering a contract into? And they're going to be able to say to us and dictate to us what we can and can't do. Does anybody want to enter into that contract? Has a single person here downloaded that track and trace app? Good. I've got some bad news for you. I've got lots of people that contact me from various different sources, different places. I was contacted last week by a young lad who has not downloaded the app. He showed me a screenshot of his Google settings. He's got COVID-19 turned off and he's still got a notification. It knew his name and it said, you've been near an infected person, you have to isolate. And I informed him that's a risk of a £1,000 fine. He said he'd leave his phone at home. Has anyone researched the Chinese credit system? Has anybody researched what's happening in the Xinjiang province in Western China? They're using a social credit system linked in with the COVID-19 app that uses a QR code that is red, yellow or green. Maybe, no, or yes, which dictates your entire life. That's now been integrated with the Chinese credit system, and in one province it's used to decide who goes to the internment camps, or the re-education camps as they're called. The BBC admits they have 1 million Uyghur Muslims in concentration camps that are put there digitally. Now, in Xinjiang, they're not allowed Facebook, so they don't have photos uploaded, and it's not tagged. We do this willingly. We willingly give our facial recognition details to the beast. In Xinjiang,
Now, with what's going on now, this is getting more and more relevant.
Yeah,
because
absolutely.
we've been talking about this a lot recently, about feeding the AI beast and feeding Al Gore. You know, and when I said this back,
And then you got Schwab's fucking little gimp running around saying about hacking humans.
yeah,
And that's how they do it. with
doesn't make
the
me
data.
look so mad anymore, does it? Because when this happened, the kickback the kickback from this speech literally changed my life.
Oh no, I can imagine.
Yeah, which we'll get into in a minute.
if you don't comply, they strap you down to a board and they forcibly scan you. And once you're scanned to the facial recognition, you don't even need the app, you don't need the QR code, it's your face, a digital patch. And when it's scanned, it says trustworthy, untrustworthy, or maybe. And if you're untrustworthy, you've already got 1 foot in the internment camp. Is this surprising to anybody here, or did you guys already aware of quite how bad this is? Because unfortunately, most of these poor bastards walking up and down here, some of them think we're completely insane. Some of them think we're just nutters that have watched one YouTube video and come to these crazy conclusions. Well, I urge everyone to go to to listen in or to watch the whistleblower thing tonight. I'm looking to get whistleblowers on my channel. My channel is called Double LMC, that's my name, it's my artist name, and the show is called Rise Above. So for everyone that's tuned in, thank you very much. For everyone that's sharing what I'm trying to put out, please do, because things are getting so close. The World Economic Forum has now said that the Great Reset happens in January 2021. Straight from the words of Klaus Schwab, the head of the World Economic Forum. It's talked about by Prince Charles, it's talked about by David Attenborough every day this week in the mainstream media. It's coming. Secure your assets, batten down your hatches, make networks of like-minded people, and prepare for the storm. Guys, thank you very much. Rise above. Oh yeah, sorry. Would anybody like to ask me any questions? I'm not an expert, guys, but I've done an insane amount of research. Would anybody like to ask me any questions?
I think we'll leave the Q&A.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, let's just talk about the fallout from that. Because from my knowledge, from what I know and from what I saw at the time before my Facebook got deleted, I saw many copies of it, and most of them some of them been shared 100 times, some of them been shared 1,000, some hundreds of thousands of times. So we've got to assume that was seen by millions of people, literally millions of people.
Yeah, because our Facebook got deleted on the same day, didn't it? Mine and yours.
It was after, I believe it took about a week after that speech was made for it to properly go viral. It got remixed by many different videos. I've got some of them, and some of them are 40-minute videos all about the Great Reset and stuff, and it got put into there. But this obviously put me on the radar of the Soviet Union in a big way, because the fact was that not many people were aware of exactly how deep Serco's reach was.
And all linked to the crown.
Yeah, all linked to the crown. And also,
that's the key there, guys.
And also, it has like a vivid history of being the architects of the Soviet Union, and all of the companies that were, go back and watch that 3 or 4 times to really inhale all of the information that I was trying to put in there, because I was just going 100 miles an hour. But the funny thing was, let's talk about fact checkers. So I'm going to first of all go to Reuters, because I did get fact checked by Reuters. Fact check: Serco is not state owned, and it did not create the COVID-19 app. I'm pretty sure in my videos I said it didn't create the app. I said it provides the infrastructure.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, what date is this? This is October the 20th.
That's a misconstruction
Yeah, that's a misconstruction.
on their part.
So it says here, the NHS app, the speaker implies that Serco, an outsourcing company, is making the NHS app. That's not true. He tells the crowd, can you imagine when you press I accept on the test and trace app? That comes from Serco. Can you imagine the small print, what it says in that app? Reuters has debunked this claim. Okay. Serco's ownership. Now, this is where it gets a bit juicy because I actually misquoted. I said that the Serco is owned by the Crown Corporation Limited. I actually meant Crown Corporation Services, CCS rather than CCL. So by getting it wrong and saying CCL, I sent them on basically a wild rabbit hunt, and they're going down all here. But I was actually wrong as well, so I'm going to fact check myself here. When I showed that picture of CCS, Crown Corporation Services, that was their website showing that they'd outsourced all of these contracts to Serco. So then earlier on, I thought, well, who are the main shareholders of Serco? And basically, when I looked at it, it looks exactly the same as all of the other big parasite companies. Loads of investment companies, but there's two that are always there, and you can see which ones they are. Andy, PG?
Vanguard and BlackRock.
And they always have roughly 4 or 5% in all of these companies. So
is it kind of standard?
Now, if we spent the next couple of hours going through all of those other investment companies, guess where they would lead back to?
The Crown.
Well, just BlackRock and Vanguard.
Well, yeah.
And who controls BlackRock and Vanguard? It's the Crown. Yeah, so it's like, yeah. So that was pretty minor, I think, in my opinion. That was well, I've corrected myself there anyway. The fact is, the gist of it is that Serco is not a private company. You know,
no,
it's owned by the same people that own everything, which are some investment holders and some people like Vanguard and BlackRock, which move the money, etc., for the you know who's. So, is there some banging going on?
Yeah, is it the captain?
I think so.
Yeah.
Can you go and have a word?
Yeah,
we don't need any banging. So, right, I'm just going to do this live on the screen share because I want to show everyone exactly how viral it went. And let me just get rid of this this crappy, not crappy, but this distortive filter that Magic's put over it. So if I just Google Serco Speech goes viral, Serco Speech goes viral.
Back to the Empress.
Oh, was it? Okay, so the first one is full fact. No, sorry, the first one is actually you get to Serco's website when you type in Serco Speech goes viral. The second one is full facts. So we've already seen Reuters; they were just chatting pure shit. Full facts. The video makes a number of inaccurate claims about COVID-19 pandemic. So is this about me? Let's just check. This is the 22nd of October 2020. So there's two links here. A video of a public speech. Let's click that. Yes, as you can see, this is shot from somewhere else. This is like from a phone of someone that was sat on the floor. It's got one of these partly false information stickers straight away. This one has 3,000 shares, 800 likes, and when you go down, like there is shitloads of comments, and it scores all these fact checkers at the bottom as well. So I can't believe this is actually still on Facebook. Yeah, this was posted the 12th of October 2020 by Janine Patching. So if we go back and I click the other link, this one is the same thing posted by someone else.
Jace Thor.
That's got 207 shares, and that's only scored one fact checker and partly false information. So whoever Jace Thor is, he's big.
Partly false information.
Yeah, partly false.
Yeah.
So he's like, yeah, big enough rise above. Big shout out to Jace Thor. So what does? So yeah, I just pointed out to everyone, Andy, that when I googled Serco Speech goes viral, second link is full fact, and you can actually still get to it. It's almost like an advert for the speech.
So straight up to the fact checkers.
Yeah. Now, what else is it said here? Here we go. In August, they got a $100 million contract to run test and trace for the first few months. Everyone just sat around watching Netflix. So I don't know, have they tried to debunk that? Because it was actually 36 billion. Like in the end, 108 million. Like, I'm just trying to think if they actually do fact check me here. Serco works with the US Patent Office to process patent applications, but these are assessed by examiners employed by US Patent Office and Trademark Office. Okay, so they've got examiners, so they do run the patent office. So I was right there.
I mean, it does say partly false information.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
The video claims that the Gates Foundation has 200,000 shares in Serco. The Gates Foundation purchased 200,000 shares in Serco in 2019, taking the company's total ownership to 3.74 million.
To be worth 5.3 or 6.6 million at the time. Oh, right.
So what is that?
So I said there were 200,000 shares, but they actually had 3.7 million worth $6 million rather than 20. So that was partially false. Right. So yeah, I got fact checked by Full Fact.
I mean, Reuters. Those things that they fact checked you on there, neither here or there. That's not even like the worst of it.
No, not at all.
So,
yeah. So Reuters, I scored a Full Fact and a Reuters all within 2 days of each other. So it doesn't really get much bigger than that in the old fact checking world, does it?
No. Fuck you, Zuckerberg.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, and you know, and anyone that was following what happened to me knows that it didn't really end with just getting sort of cancelled online. They tried to cancel me in real life as well. So after that speech, I obviously conducted quite a few. I was on a bit of a roll. I basically almost got booked for like a UK tour of cussing down the Soviet Union in public. Kind of lucky I got stopped when I did, because if I'd done, I really, you know, whether this is good or not, if I had made it to those big stages like say London or Birmingham in front of 4,000 or 5,000 people, it could have quite easily turned into a riot back then, I think.
Mate, people were pissed.
Yeah, absolutely, and I would have literally poured petrol on the fire. So I have got some more videos which are related to this. So we'll just go to the next one, which is about 5 minutes. So I think this is the next week afterwards. Now, if you remember in the first video, the first presentation, I was showing the 3 different coloured QR codes.
Yeah,
and I kept going on about the Chinese Communist Party and their 3 coloured system, the traffic light system, right? So. Oh, yeah, I think this is the same day. Here's me in the middle of like Bournemouth Square going on about it as well.
Heading up the high street, give you some more info.
Just before we go, I want to say something about track and trace. To anybody here that has downloaded that app, we've heard the story that it's from a private company. It's much worse than that. Serco, that administer the infrastructure behind track and trace, are the largest private prison company in the UK. Every ankle tag on every prisoner in the UK is administered by Serco. Every private prison van that you see in the UK is Serco. Immigration centres, detention centres, they run every type of penal activity of controlling prisoners. These are the people that phone you up to check if you're home. These are the people that can administer a £1,000 fine if you do not isolate. You can be asked to isolate for any reason. You do not need a positive test. You do not need any symptoms. You need to be near someone that allegedly had a positive test or was near to someone else from a coronavirus from a test that is totally inaccurate. A £1,000 fine is the...
We appear to have lost the sound there.
About TikTok and the permissions on an app like that. Can you imagine the permissions that you were signing up to from a company like Serco, which essentially is the military-industrial complex? If you want the military-industrial complex on your smartphone, controlling your every step in and out of the house, sign up today. Good luck with that. Guys, check out my channel, Rise Above. I cover all of these topics and more. Thank you.
So I think that was on the same day. Then about roughly 1 week later, Boris actually announced the red, green and orange system down here.
Oh, well, good old Boris.
Yeah, and I think it was like they did it with some northern towns, didn't they? And it's like they put them on like on the traffic light system. So then I did this speech a week later, and you can see that I'm still in pretty much the same mood. Let's have a look at this one.
System of stop, go, or maybe red, yellow, green. And I talked about the Chinese credit score. Did anybody see the speech or hear it from last week? Well, lo and behold, what did Boris announce this week? a three-tier system. It wasn't personal, it was regional. In China, they have a dual system, personal and regional. Here we have orange, yellow, orange or red. We don't even have green. So within 3 days, we've been telling you about the Chinese system with the QR codes and the stop, green and go. Boris announces it. What is happening in Liverpool right now? They're saying no. Never underestimate the power of the smallest word, N-O. No. Do you know why they went for Liverpool
Occult
first?
teachings there.
Yep. Do you want to know why? In the days of the plantation, the slave master, when he wants to break the slaves, do you know what he does? He goes for the biggest, strongest one first. And he breaks them in front of all of the other slaves. Well, Scousers are militant people. They haven't got that reputation for nothing. Thank you to the Scousers for saying no. Because I hate to say it. I'm a southerner born and bred. I hate to say it. If they tried that down here, I'm not sure we would have said no. But now, Liverpool have set the example. You've seen it when the police in militarised uniforms turn up, a £500 fine, a £1,000 fine. The guy's almost in tears. That's his life, that's his business. That's a hub for the community to stay fit, to improve their mental health. 3 hours, another £6,000 fine. What did the community do? They rallied together and they raised £40,000 and they gave it to the gym. This is how we rise above. This is how we rise above. Now listen, we can talk about masks and all these other things that are blatantly iffy. While we're arguing about whether a mask works or not, do you know what's happening? The Great Reset is coming like this and the digital prison is being built around us. Pointless. Ask why. Why were we asked to wear a mask after everyone has finished dying, after the pandemic is over? Why? I'll tell you why. A mask is a physical representation of the continuation of the pandemic. Without these masks, without some people queuing up outside of shops, there are no visual representations that anything is wrong. Am I right or am I wrong? So the reason we're asked to wear a mask after last year's flu season with an alleged coronavirus thrown in the mix, after all of that is finished and the deaths have gone down to next to zero, please put a mask on now. But don't wear an N95 mask. Don't wear a surgical mask, a mask that actually have a little bit of viral protection. We urge you to wear a cloth mask. A simple piece of cloth that has zero protection, but do you know what it does do? Like I said last week, it's like a Petri dish, and it holds all the particulates and bacteria in your hot breath at the perfect temperature. You're germinating your own viruses and bacteria.
That turned out to be true as well.
Yeah.
That was, I'm pretty sure that was pretty much proved in some peer-reviewed science journal recently.
And that's why the cases are going up. Look what happened as soon as we were mandated masks. No cases, no deaths. Cases, still no deaths. I tell you what, guys, the second wave is going to be much, much easier to expose. We've seen the first one. We've seen all the methods of manipulation, all the ways they cook the figures, and it should be blatantly obvious to anyone that can spend 30 minutes looking at their own figures that what they're going to do is just blend the flu season with coronaviruses, or ARI, acute respiratory infection. It's a new classification that started last week. So next time you see the news, make sure they're not saying ARI. That's pneumonia, flu, and COVID. We caught them the first time. This time, to expose them will be much, much easier. My channel is Double LMC Rise Above on YouTube. I expose all of this in graphic detail. Thank you.
Pumped.
Yeah, that was it. That was in the middle of the high street, mate. So we've moved on. I think we've come a long way.
Then you got arrested.
Yeah, well, I spoke 2 more times in Bournemouth. The next time I'm gonna play us out with, because it's quite a good one. And then I did the speech about, like, it's basically about the greatest apocalypse ever. The one where I talk about an ancient evil.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, like the really good
We're
one.
at war with an ancient evil.
I think we should probably save that one for another episode.
No, let's get it now.
I haven't got that one queued up. I have got the next one. The next one is good as well. But yeah, so I did a series of speeches in Bournemouth. Then I spoke in Farnborough, I spoke somewhere else as well, and then I got invited by November. I think it was November the 11th. I got invited to Truro, which is where they set up my arrest and my capture.
When we were broadcasting and they came round previously.
So yeah, that would be the Friday night. That would be November the 10th, 2020, when they came around my mum and dad's house and threatened to arrest me if I spoke again.
Whilst we were live streaming.
Yeah.
Around here.
And
yeah. Rise Above HQ.
And we got the phone call. So yeah. And then, you know, and this really did change my life. It changed everything. After this, I was known as the guy on the Serco Speech. A lot of the people watching right now are because of this speech, because of the exposure. So, you know, I've got to thank Sir Nicholas Soames and Sir Rupert Soames, because at the end of the day, that was a very powerful catalyst that was provided to me at that time, at that opportune time, when I was in the zone of going out, speaking, or at least, you know, thinking that was still the right thing to do, because at the time I still think it was the right thing to do. I think that had an impact. I talked a lot about, you know, chucking a stone in a pond and creating a ripple. And I used to say, you know, when I stood on the steps of Scotland Yard, I said, I'm here and I'm ready to chuck a house brick in. Who's with me? And I think it's Alex Shield that sent me that. And he's like, I remember that. I stood there when you said that. It's like, you did it on the steps of Scotland Yard. It's like, that's how like militant I was at the time. And to think back now, you know, if I had carried on going like that, I simply probably wouldn't be here before.
They'd have stuck you in a mental hospital, drugged you, made you go mad.
What's Magic saying in the chat here?
Big on Magic.
I was at that one. Lance said to me before he got up to speak, I'm going deep on this one. Well, oh yeah, Magix, you were there that day. I remember. We'll have to talk about that one. I need to touch up the sound on that one because it sounds a bit shit. I need to touch up the sound on it. I think when this happened, it made me realise that I could make a difference.
Well, how many views did that have?
That speech on
thousands.
It must have been millions, but it wasn't the video on my YouTube. It was the video that other people had shared.
No, that's what I mean. In total,
who knows? Just that one video had 3,000 shares. It didn't say how many views that one had.
No.
But you know,
and how many of those 3,000 people?
Well, I mean, if I just look here, what I'm about to load up
how
here.
Many of their friends shared it?
It got remixed by quite a few people. So, oh no, I didn't load them up because they weren't that interesting. But it was like
there's loads of our viewership that are only here because of the Serco Speech. That's what drove them here.
Yeah, because if it wasn't for that, I wouldn't have been arrested. Because let's face it, the reason they arrested me is because they were scared that I was going to carry on talking about Serco
and the Crown.
Yeah, because anyone else can go, oh, you know, freedom, stand up, whatever. But the fact is, when you actually start telling people
how it's done and who's doing it,
this is who's doing it. This is how it's done. This is why
it's a different kettle of fish.
Because I suppose at that point, maybe a lot of people were quite happy. Just
they have to call in the dogs.
Yeah, call in the dogs. Maybe they were just thinking that, okay, yeah, you know, the elites are going to make some money off a vaccine or whatever.
No. This is about the soul.
Yeah, and when I got past the Serco bit, and I okay, that's what the Soviet Union is, and then I started to you know, really go deeper again. You know, and then Master Lee came into the picture, like someone said in the comments earlier on. When the student is ready, the master will appear. And I remember when I was getting tarot, my cards read almost on a daily basis, whether I liked it or not. I was having my reading sent to me, and big shout, you know who you are. They said to me 2 really important teachers are going to come along. And I know exactly who they are. It's Godvaj and Master Lee.
I know you said this before.
It literally was, because within a couple of weeks, big up Wim, you dropped the you know, actually it was a little while before you dropped the bomb of Godvaj on me. No, we were watching Godvaj before Master Lee came along.
Yeah, we were, yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, it was.
Yeah, I found Godvaj through John Levy.
Yeah, he was just casually referencing.
Yeah,
it.
he was just like showing his work, and I was like, Lance, you need to watch this, because I watched his channel, and when he started, because he doesn't just talk about the crater, he talks about. I was like, mate, he talks about a counter rotating Jew star.
Yeah, literally
like
a counter rotating Jew star.
And parasitical energy.
Yeah. I think we should, seeing this is Black Market Cinema, we should just get the other.
I mean, you didn't drop any bombs like that on the public. That might have been a bit too much in the speeches.
Yeah. I'll play the second speech, because in another video, in another screening, we'll do the deep speech when I really went full rabbit on them. So this, I believe, I made this speech like 2 weeks afterwards. This is when I came back to the bench outside Bournemouth Town Hall.
Conquer with love. Thank you guys very much. Thank you, Sam, for having me, and thank you, Mike. Brilliant. Thank you. Hi guys, can we give a big round of applause to Caroline?
Brilliant.
Well, not quite as good as you, but
Shut up.
right now we've got Lance from Rise Above, guys. Give him a big cheer.
First of all, I'm going to say that was an amazing speech by Karen, and also, guys, I apologise for the gin and tonic. When I get on the mic, it's usually in a nightclub. Having a gin and tonic before is a little bit of a ritual. Right, funnily enough, yeah.
Just apologising for looking like
Wish I compared notes with her before, because I was going to say something a little bit similar. Has anybody seen the speech that I made last week here or down there online? Now, people accuse me of being militant. Guess what? I am militant. I treat this like a strict military operation. Many, many years ago, decades ago, I realised what was going to happen. I didn't know when it was going to happen. I didn't know how it was going to happen, but I knew it was going to happen. And I've been training myself ever since then on a day-to-day basis, 25 hours a day, 8 days a week, preparing for what's happening right now. Now, I could stand here and I could go into graphic detail about every single depraved part of this COVID 1984 operation. And it might be interesting. Not everybody here might know every part of it. But at the end of the day, that's all well and good. But if I'm doing that, all I'm doing is describing the prison that's being built around us. And we can all look at it and go, oh, look at that bit over there, look at that bit. Yeah, but it's still been built. It's not helping. So I thought really hard about what I wanted to say to you guys today, yeah? Bear with me.
At least I've got rid of that case.
Now, there's so many things. We could talk about falsified deaths, interchangeable flu and COVID stats, shut down hospitals, TikTok videos, hydroxychloroquine, African leaders, Madagascar, Burundi, Belarus as well, their reaction to the World Health Organization. These are all smoking guns, right? Bill Gates, family history of eugenics, Dr. Fauci, Wuhan, masks, hypoxia, lockdown, quarantines, and it's all well and good. But all we're doing is describing the prison. So what's the solution? This week I shared this meme online, right? And it's from The Matrix. And it's a picture of Neo.
This bit.
And there's a really famous bit in The Matrix where he has awakened and he realises what's going on. And you could call it a Kundalini experience. The Smith agents are firing projectiles at him and he just goes, no. You know the one I'm talking about. He moves it out of the way. Right, and the meme says this. Bear with me, right? I've got adrenaline pumping through me, man. I tell you what, it's been fucking crazy after what happened last week. That speech last week has been seen by roughly 500,000 people. I'm going to go into that in a minute. This is what the meme says. And this is how I live my life. And this is what I've been training myself to do for the last 20 years for this event. Increase your emotional intelligence so much that you are like Neo in the Matrix. You can freeze people's blame, their gaslighting, their manipulation, their misconceptions. You can hold them in midair. You can look at them. You can examine them. You can describe them. You can walk around them. You can identify that each one of them is a defense mechanism. It's a coping mechanism. What you want to call it, cognitive dissonance. If you can look at people's arguments like that, you can make a difference. One thing that will never make a difference is calling people sheep. One thing that will never make a difference is calling people gullible, calling them slaves, calling them zombies. That's how you alienate people. The way to get through to people, like Karen was saying, is to ask questions. And it's to make them relate to what you're saying. Unfortunately, some people it's going to take literally a stormtrooper kicking their door down to make them realise what's going on. That's unfortunate. But I tell you what, there is a huge percentage of the population, they know that something is completely wrong. They know in their heart, I've seen it in their eyes when I walk around the supermarket, looking every single person in the eye, smiling at them, making sure I make eye contact with every single person. They know, but they're scared. And they're too invested.
This just reminds me of what it was like going to the supermarket back then.
Yeah.
Like, it was like, strap on your weapons, get ready for combat.
Make sure you got your lanyard.
Oh yeah,
lanyard.
Get your exempt badge, so to avoid a fight, basically.
Yeah, we had those cards, didn't we? You printed those cards for us and laminated them.
Oh yeah, before the exempt badges were like common knowledge, I went onto the NHS website and got like autism badges or something like that. Yeah. Started passing them out to people. I was like, no one has to wear a mask.
So how do we get through to them? Like I said, you can give them, and like Karen said, these people, you can put facts in front of their face. Cognitive dissonance, confirmation bias, they can't see it. So, there's the how, the what, and the why.
This is what I'm speaking about. The trivium
what's going on?
Before I knew it was the
So if you want to tell someone about this, what is going on? Well, saying this is fake or a hoax isn't helpful. As soon as people hear the word fake or hoax, they shut off. They've shut them down. They're not willing to listen anymore. You need to ask them questions. You need to make them relate. You need to give them examples that they cannot look away from. Okay? So what is going on? We're being lied to that there is a really dangerous pandemic that is worth shutting the world down for. We can all agree on that. That is the what is going on. Yeah? Well, that's just stage one. Everyone can see that, whether they even clock it or not. Everyone can see that. Stage two, how is it being done? Well, those are all the details that, I can stand up there and talk about. We can talk about track and trace, false positives, etc., etc., etc. But the third stage is the most important. Why? Why is it happening? And the why is much more complicated. But until you understand all three of these, the what, the how, and the why, when you try to explain it to anyone else, you're pissing up against the wall. Total waste of time. Because they'll throw objections up. Oh, we would have heard about that. All the doctors, they would speak out against it. You've heard all of these objections when you've tried. Have you guys spoke to your friends and family? It's not just me that's a militant nutter, yeah? You guys have tried to wake people up as well. Yeah? I truly believe the only way that we're going to try and not stop what's going on, or at least sidestep it, is to empower other people to be brave enough to say no. Okay? I'm going off track here, one sec. So, what is happening, how is it happening, and why is it happening? I'm going to tell you why it's happening right now. What's happening is because of the global reset. We've all heard about the Great Reset, yeah? So, why does everyone have to be vaccinated? What's that got to do with the Great Reset? Has everybody got any ideas? How does it link in? What's the link? What's the link between the financial reset and the vaccine?
Control your money, your finances.
Yes. Yes. Anyone else? Sorry? Yes. It's everything. The vaccine is a platform. A platform for what? Access to the new system. Access to the fourth industrial revolution, access to the new stakeholder capitalism, access to the digital payment system, access to your government subsidies, access to your fuel subsidies, access to society.
Talk about Revelation 13, yeah?
I don't like to get biblical. There are biblical references, trust me. Anyone that's confused about what I'm saying needs to look to China. This has been happening in China for years. If you're lucky and you live in one of those provinces in China, your credit score goes from 0 to 100. And you can be a super good citizen and get a plus 90 score, you get the high speed internet, you can get on the bus, you get all these perks. But once you go below 50, whoo, no public transport, you're not allowed to look after pets, you have limited access to public services, Once you get like to the really undesirable level, you basically have access to nothing. You're a complete pariah from society. Depends what province you live in. If you live in Xinjiang, it depends whether you're Muslim or not. If you're a Uyghur Muslim in Xinjiang, which is the predominant ethnic makeup there, you are instantly orange, untrustworthy. To get a green status, you have to really kiss the government's arse. You basically have to start singing communist songs, drinking alcohol and eating pork. Because that's what they make you do in the internment camps, which I've looked into for 3 years. And it's no stretch of the imagination to say that the people that are in charge of those internment camps in China are the exact same global elites that are about to enact the Great Reset. Klaus Schwab, those people are in cahoots with the Chinese Communist Party. They're the blueprint. If you want to see what's going to happen, just look to China. They're 10 years ahead of us. The reason they could do it to them is because they were already destroyed by communism last time. It wouldn't work here. So guess what? They have to use a smokescreen. And that's what we're looking at right now. You guys all know this. This is no news to anyone here. I don't want to preach to the choir. I don't want to just sit here, stand here, go on the internet describing the prison cell. I want to empower you guys to go out and cause waves. We live in a realm of vibrational energy, and the people in charge of the world know that. Word, power and sound. Every positive movement, every conversation, every connection, every seed you plant ripples. Don't let anyone ever tell you that one person can't make a change. Bullshit. Let me tell you something. I've been at this for 20 years on a personal level, at after parties, in smoking areas, chewing people's ears off, making them listen. When I had my entire career taken from me, a whole year's worth, 40 international bookings, finished. I might never get on stage again if this reset happens. The whole entertainment industry finished. I said, tell you what, time to get down to business. On my channel, the content I put out is made for a very specific reason. Each episode is designed specifically so it can be shown to a complete normie. Someone that has no idea about these ideas, no idea about any of these alternative views of the world. But it will still give you something for you lot to, oh shit, I didn't know that. So when I make these videos, I'm doing it specifically so other people can share the content. Someone you love, someone you care about.
Are you talking about the...
That's what it's for.
84 video.
So guys, I'm losing track here, but at the end of the day, after that speech last week, when I made that speech, I had 280 YouTube subscribers. The most views in one video is 600. Do you know how many I've got now? Before I started speaking, 1,700. By the time of this speech, it'll be 1,800. I've been contacted by journalists, podcast interviewers, UK Press TV, RT. Right? Don't let anyone ever tell you that one person can't make a change. A single candle lights up the darkness. That is the power we all harness. Okay? I threw a stone into the pond last week, and that ripple is still rippling. Okay? Everyone has got an entry point into their awakening. People are not stupid. But unfortunately, they have been compromised. Now, Karen talks about cognitive dissonance and about confirmation bias. It's deeper than that. These poor people are the victim of trauma-based mind control. The people in charge of the world know exactly how our human psyche works. They are ancient master psychologists. They know everything about us. And that's how they've done such an incredible number on us. See, these people over here that are sleepwalking, that think we're crazy, that think we're murdering their family by not wearing a mask. If you try to wake them up too quickly by barraging them with facts, do you know what happens? The R complex, the reptilian brain kicks in. Fight or flight. They feel attacked, and you will never ever get through to them that way. That's base consciousness. That's the 666. That's the beast. Fight or flight. No, that's not the way to do it. Everyone can be turned. I've seen people's faces. I took a back step today, yeah, because I don't want to be manic street preacher. I wanted to pick my battles. I took a back step today and I saw people's reactions. Some people, they were quite averse to what we were doing. Trust me, seeds were planted. Ripples were made. These people can see what's going on.
Never underestimate the power of planting a seed.
Exactly. I've been doing this through my music for years, right? And let me just, okay. This started, how did this start, right? This started with step back 2 meters. Then the camera scanned my facial features. It said, warning, spatial breaches. Listen to the government speeches. Strict advice, daily releases. You can't chill at the parks and beaches. Essential travel, they police it. We know the rules, they still repeat it. Is this about a virus? Is it a plot to control and divide us? Is it a problem, reaction, solution, a manufactured crisis? Depopulate, body baggers, biometric ID taggers, Gates Foundation vax apparatus, stinging newborn skin like a cactus. Corona's the crown of your highness, and the molecule inside your sinus. Is this Wuhan bronchitis, or the act of medical mafia pirates? What do you guys think? I think it's fucking obvious that this is the act of medical mafia pirates, guys, and we need to spread the word, we need to spread the light, we need to spread the knowledge, and we need to empower ourselves and build our arguments. Make yourself razor sharp when you combat someone. Make sure your arguments are solid. We can open up people's eyes, we can do it. Rise above.
So,
with your gin and tonic.
With my gin and tonic. Can't bust the mic without a gin and tonic first. That's why I always have gin and tonic before I bust this mic too. So, Black Market Cinema, episode 1. The speeches that changed everything. And the video. Final thoughts. Things have changed since then. I've come a long way. I think
the show's come a long way.
The show's come a long way, and our approach to what's going on has come a long way. For the better, because you can't carry on going on like that all the time. Because if you keep fighting something, what happens? You become what you fight.
Yep.
Like Master Lee said, if you ignore the devil will consume you. If you fight the devil will kill you. But if you carefully use the catalyst that the devil provides,
use the devil.
Yeah, then the devil can work for you. And that's what Rise Above is. So, yeah, guys, thank you very much for tuning in. This has been Rise Above Black Market Cinema. When we broadcast again, we have no idea.
But it'll be the Pizzagate stuff.
I think we'll go Pizzagate next. We'll try and fish that out. This won't be up for long. A strike will be incoming, and this probably will be taken down. So share this everywhere, and don't forget we will be back on Friday.
Lance, just put the in the chat just before we go. Put the link to subscribe to this channel because it's hard to find.
If someone's already watching it, they can surely subscribe to it, though, can't they?
No, for them to share.
Oh, okay, right. Let me just do that 1 sec. So maybe you want to chat to some
because there's only a few people that actually subscribe to it.
Yeah, we need to get more subscribers on this channel. Once we get over 1,000, then it gets more visibility. So
we got Sam Carno, all the regulars.
Oh, we just gone past 322 subscribers.
Oh,
right. Let me get that.
Of course we have.
Right.
Magic's in the chat.
Oh no, I need the Black Market one. 1 sec. Yeah, big up Magic's, big up Oma Beats.
Yeah, we'll do the Pizzagate stuff because that's a lot of people don't even know that's what the PG stands for.
Yeah, they need to know where the PG comes from.
It was from my Pizzagate research.
So I'm just going to put the link to this channel in the comments right now. So make sure you share it, everyone.
Yeah, save it and share it, and if it gets taken down, we'll just start another one.
Well, yeah, you get 3 strikes before you get taken out by Al Gore. Actually, no, you get a warning and then you get 3 strikes. So potentially we've got 4 broadcasts on this channel before we have to make a new one. Yeah, thank you very much, everyone, for tuning in. Andy Pandy, Eye for an Eye. Thanks to our admin, Sam Carno, Eye for an Eye. Cheech McDuck, Jen Pavel, everyone else tuned in. Thanks for joining us. And we'll see you on Friday where we will be talking about raw treats. And we've got a special guest because I'm not allowed to talk about it when Oma Beast is there.
No.
I'm proper gagged. I've got a gag in order. Yeah, and we've also got our awesome guest once again, Kyle Greaves, who's going to be reviewing Clown World with us. It's going to be a lot of fun. So we'll see you guys then. Raw Black Market Cinema.
Oh,